Are there any specific outcomes expected from this initiative?
Yeah, I think there were a couple things that were really important to us as we went into this process, and that's obviously mental health and physical well-being and what that looks like for the athletes, but similarly that career development and support. And again, that was feedback that I had directly from players when I stepped into this role around really wanting to make sure that they are supported both mentally and physically throughout their career, but then also thinking about where do they go when they're heading into that transition period at the end of their career? And there's certainly a gap there right now around skills that they develop off court along the way. And so it's really important to us to invest in that space as well and make sure that we're setting them up for success on and off the court.
That's really important because that's something that we've touched on a number of times on different podcasts, particularly that transition from being being an athlete to the post-athlete career. And I'm also curious in relation to the overall CBA. Look, there's no easy way to put this. Okay.
Here we go.
It's increasing the cost base.
Yeah.
And over the period of 4 years, it's a fairly sizable chunk of revenue that the clubs are going to have to come up with to be able to be able to cover the minimum payments. So the question is, because the league has typically always been a revenue poor situation, the capital values of the clubs goes up. But what sort of steps that you can share with us are in train to try and help the clubs to develop their own revenue streams to be able to deal with that shortfall?
Yeah, there's so many important steps that went into both this process, but also when we looked at building a sustainable financial model for the next 5 years and beyond, because you're right, the clubs, with the exception of one or two, have been losing money during their length of term in the WNBL, and that's not sustainable. And that's why the clubs went to Basketball Australia in 2023 and said, hey, like, we need to look at new ownership because we're not going to survive past the coming years. And so that's why we're here in the first place. And being able to come in and invest a tremendous amount of resources and financial funding to each club over the next 5 years is an important step that we took. And so each club is getting an injection of financial investment, but also resources and support at the league level as well. And that's across the board, not just in the commercial sponsorship space, but also when you think about things like marketing support and community engagement and how we can help them succeed at the league level, because we need each other to succeed. That's obvious. You know, the league is nothing without clubs, and the clubs need the league to succeed, and we all need the athletes to succeed. And so, you know, there has to be a lot of working together and unity and collaboration. And so when we looked at how can we build a financially sustainable model for the league, you're right. There are increases in cost to the clubs over the next few years, but at the same time, there's a tremendous increase in investment that they weren't getting before at the league level. And there is also an increase in support. So those things will balance each other out. And then, of course, there's a little bit of, so what I'm looking for, magic that goes into it, where you assume, you know, in 5 years, the league is going to be up here. So the clubs are going to be up here and the athletes are going to be up here. And because of that, hopefully we're all going to be getting a higher level of investment from, you know, commercial sponsors, broadcast partners, you know, what that looks like. So there's a long-term modeling that goes along with that as well.